Okay, so the way it's gonna work, and if y'all can, like everybody that's already people that are already in here,
Yeah.
well, we're gonna talk a bit to some topics, and then we're gonna have like a free open floor for you all to like tap Thanos' knowledge, ask him some questions, pose some things to him, and he'll respond. The best way to do it, so I can kind of know, is raise your hand, and then I'll tell you to unmute yourself or have you unmute it, and then go ahead and say it. That way, we can keep things kind of in order and a little bit more clean for the record. So first of all, Thanos, thank you. And we appreciate you being the first guest on Wolves Den, man. Definitely do appreciate that. And it's going to be a
Welcome, man.
free conversation, man. So, however you want to run it is fine with me. We're going to talk to some topics. All right. So the first thing, man, let's talk about some of these shenanigans going on. Like we got Piastri announcements, and then Piastri saying, I don't want Alpine, and then Alpine saying, can you please take us back? And then next thing you know, we get contracts from Albon about extending and Williams. And we got some talk about McLaren. So, man, could you talk to maybe some of that you do know about, and tell us how you feel about this movement? I kind of like the movement. It's coming into the summer. I kind of like the shenanigans.
Yeah, I mean, they have to give us something to carry us over for the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
The 26th, I think.
Weekend the 26th. But the whole Piastri thing, I mean, Alonso triggered this whole entire move. You know what I mean? And
right.
I swear to you, that dude is just, I don't know, he's just bad news. I'm not one of his biggest fan, but I find him to be bad news, man. Wherever he goes, there's always problems. He has never been somewhere. I mean, the only place he has been where there really hasn't been any problems was Renault. And that was when Flavio was at Renault, because, Flavio basically took care of him back in those, he came in what, 01, he drove for Minardi for a year. I think then he was, test driver for Renault. I think it was in 02, and then he moved to the factory team. I think it was in 03. So during that time, his time at Renault, that was it. You know what I mean? That was probably the only time where he didn't really cause any problem. But even then, he probably did cause problem, because after he won his first championship in 05, I think the season ended in around October, November. By December, there was a news break that Alonso had signed to drive for McLaren in 07. And we're like, what? You just won a championship at Renault. You basically saying, yo, I'm jumping ship in 07. And then went ahead and won a back it up the following year. But he triggered this whole entire move, this whole entire fiasco. And it's kind of funny, because I was reading that a couple months ago, they wanted to sign him to a 2-year extension.
Right.
So, for Seb to just come out and say, okay, I'm retiring, and then 2 days later, Alonso is signed for Aston. You're like, but wait, you were supposed to be signing a new deal with Alpine. What changed? Why you want to go to Aston? And I don't know why Renault Aston went for him, to be honest, because what is he going to bring to your team right now? Because all the teams he has driven for since he returned to the sport hasn't really progressed with him in their ranks. So, we all know Lance Stroll Jr. is never going to leave that team, but you're talking about, you have the opportunity to bring someone in next to him, find a young, hot rookie, and bring him in and build something with them. Because what you're going to build with Alonso, he's going to probably have another, 2 years maximum in the sport. So why you want to bring someone in for those 2 years, pay him that sort of money, when you can go out and you say, look, we're thinking long-term, not short-term, because there's, Stroll Senior and his partners, they've invested heavily in the team. They're building the factory. I think they've invested something like 200 million in facilities by Silverstone. So why would you go and get Alonso? But this whole thing is just, I don't understand it, because I think Alpine wanted to kind of like shows like, well, okay, you leave, we have your replacement on hand. And then for Piastri to come out, because even before the news, before Piastri said anything, everyone was like, hold on a second, does Piastri know? Because he has not said anything about this. There's nothing on his nowhere on his social media, and Mark Webber, ex-Red Bull, is his manager.
Right.
And I'm kind of thinking, this don't seem right. This seems a bit iffy. So now Renault, Alpine, I keep calling them Renault because I'm so used to calling them
Right.
Renault. They're in a situation now where, you know, Piastri is basically saying to them, no, I never signed any contract, thing to sign with to drive for you next year. So why are you putting these statements out? And now this then furthers the rumor with Ricciardo and McLaren.
Okay.
Is he out of McLaren? And I think he's out of McLaren, and he knows he's out because when the rumors broke a couple of weeks ago before Hungary, I think, or was it before France, where he had to come out and I'm committed to the team and
Right.
that was when Zach Brown was signed Alex Palou, and then you find basically it's a similar situation to the Alpine one with Piastri now, where Palou was confirmed at a team, and he came out like, no, I didn't sign any contract with you, so what's going on? So Ricciardo is technically, I think he's effectively out of McLaren, and I think he knows that. So Piastri was the rumored guy that was going to come in. But this whole thing is a mess. It's a mess for Alpine more than anybody else because they've now found themselves in a situation where they only have one driver for next year. No one else is confirmed. And if Piastri if the rumors are true that Piastri has already signed a pre-contract agreement with McLaren to drive for next year, how are they going to get him to come back into the Alpine? Because I think the only reason why he signed that deal, that pre-contract, if it's true, is because of Alonso and the rumors that he was going to be getting a 2-year contract extension, because basically Alonso was blocking his path into the sport. And you can't have him because he won GP2 last year. Was it last year? Yeah, I think he won I see. I'm showing my age now because I'm saying F2. GP2 rather than F2.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he won it last year. And you can't, and he's not sitting out. He's not really doing anything. It's a similar situation to Ocon when Ocon lost his seat at Force India and had to sit out a year. So he's not doing, so he cannot afford to be sitting out another year or 2 years waiting for a seat to become vacant. So if the McLaren offer comes up, I can see why he would go for it. And it would be stupid of him not to go. So Alonso in some ways was blocking his path. So I mean, so that could be the only reason why he went and did this. And truthfully, I don't see why they wanted to extend Alonso's contract. I don't get it, especially when you have a young hot property as Piastri in your ranks. Alonso is currently getting beat by Ocon, right, in the standings. Yeah. Bring Piastri in. Build it. It's that they're not looking about long-term longevity. They're looking like short-term gains rather than looking, okay, where do we see ourselves in the next 5 years? And if you're making that plan and you still see Alonso in your plan in that next 5 years, your plan's going to fail. Your plan's literally going to fail because it's not going to work. He has never been that sort of person where he goes in and he galvanizes everyone, brings everyone together and get them to work as a unit towards something. He's always been selfish. He's a selfish person. You know what I mean? So you can understand why Piastri is making this move, and you can't blame him. Dude wants to drive. Right. Can't be having me sitting down another 2 years waiting until Alonso decide, well, okay, I'm going to go now. Then someone say, okay, whoever is at Alpine should have said, look, Alonso, we're not giving you a new contract. Sorry, mate. We're going to bring Piastri in because he's our long-term future. He's who we've been invested in throughout the years coming through the ranks. He won GP2. So we have to bring him in now. Can't sit around and, it's not like a George Russell situation. At least George had a drive. So That's true. Was driving. This guy's just sitting around doing nothing, simulator work, and the odd day he probably does the tire tests or something like that. But I don't know. It's a mess. It's a mess for Alpine, and they've now gonna have to somehow try and convince Piastri to come back into the fold because he looks like he's based on his statement, he's gone. And then to see him comment on Albon's contract today, because when Albon's thing came out, he commented on his Twitter post saying, congrats, mate. And you're like, Yeah, I think that's a fractured relationship.
Yeah,
I don't see it happening.
definitely.
I don't see it happening.
So let me ask, anybody got a question for Thanos on this driver movement, whether it be Albon, whether it be Piastri, whether it be with the future look out for? Oh, boom, she on it. All right, Jessica, go ahead, unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hello.
So I have a question. So do you think that Alonso knew Piastri's deal was supposedly ending July 31st so they can work together to screw the Alpine? Because something about this is very interesting, the timing of everything. I just want to know what you think.
Well, I mean, it's Alonso. You can't put anything past Alonso. I've always said the dude's a snake, so it's not impossible that they've actually done this. But I don't see what reason would Piastri would have to do something like that. You know what I mean? It's not like, again, this is the team that brought him, supported him from the junior ranks up to where he is now. So why would you want to, go ahead and do something nefarious against them for no reason at all when they've not actually done anything to you? As I said, the problem is for him, Piastri, is that Alonso was the person blocking his path into that seat. So Alpine should have never, there should have never been any rumors saying, oh, we're going to give Alonso another 2 years. Nah, dude, you have to be ruthless. It's similar. I mean, it's case in point, Toto Wolff and Mercedes. You know what I mean? He could have kept Bottas there for this year. Well, because remember, Bottas came out and said, look, they offered me a contract for this year. And he said, no, he turned it down because he wanted something more than his usual one year contract.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Cool. He turned it down. They brought George in. That's what Alpine should have been doing, except rather than offering Alonso a contract. Say, look, the contract's up this year, dude. We're bringing Piastri in. Sorry, mate, but we have to think about future success. Who's going to be here? We see it with us for the long term, who can bring us this success, and it's not him. But again, we're talking about Fernando Alonso. The guy has done some and said some really shady things in the past. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually true that they might have done something. But at the same time, I don't think Piastri has anything to gain from doing that. You know what I mean? Because he now puts himself what if McLaren hadn't approached him? You know what I mean? So I don't think he has anything to gain from that.
I saw Behave Dave. If you're not ready, I'm gonna go back to Jessica. She's got her hand raised. Anybody that wants to ask a question, just raise your hand. We are gonna have a couple of topics, but Jessica's up. Behave Dave, if you ready. Jessica, you mind me? Go ahead. I'm gonna go to Dario real quick. Dario, unmute yourself, and then I'm gonna come to Jessica.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, got you, bro.
All right. My question, actually, it's a comment that Thanos said earlier. I kind of agree with him.
Got you.
My question to you is, do you think that Daniel Ricciardo left Renault at the time prematurely to go to McLaren? Because I thought he should have stayed with Renault for another 2 years, because I think he had a good car at the time before he left with I forgot that French team leader at the time, but that's my thought.
Cyril Abiteboul.
Yes.
Yeah. You see, that's a tough one. But in some ways, I think he probably should have stayed, because it's a factory team. And you tend, in situations like this, you more want to be in a factory team than you do a customer team, because there are far more benefits, and they're the ones building the power unit. So it's a symbiosis that they'll be working with car. It's not, like McLaren. They're building a chassis, but all they're getting from Mercedes is just the dimensions, and Mercedes supplies them the power unit on the weekend of the race events. So I think he probably should have stayed, but I don't know. I guess he bought into fool's gold in some ways, and now he's basically realizing that that was probably a mistake, because he's not, since he has gotten to McLaren, with the exception of that lucky win he had last year in Monza, he hasn't really been doing anything, other than getting his ass beat by Lando practically every weekend, and he's just there, he's just here, like, he's just out there vibing, because that's what he's been doing. He's not a rookie. And the idea that him saying, he's not used to the car yet, and like, come on, dude, you're a Formula One driver. You've been doing this for close to a decade now. You're not, it shouldn't take you that long to get used to a car. How was it? I think it was Peter Windsor who said that if you're not used to a Formula One car after 4 races, then you shouldn't be in Formula One.
Ooh.
Because, you know what I mean? It shouldn't take you that long. You're that experienced. You should be adaptable. So you might be regretting that, but at the same time, I don't think he's regretting it, because when he looks at his bank account and he's like, man, them 2 years at Renault, he picked up what, 50 million? Because he got paid. Yeah, he got paid what, 25 mil per season. And I think he's right now at McLaren, he's getting paid around 25 mil per season. And I'm looking like, so. Man, if you look at the points per dollar spent on that contract, then McLaren aren't getting value for money right there. So apart from the one win, because remember McLaren didn't win a race until since Brazil 2012. So they went best part of a decade before they won a race. But I don't know. I think he's out of the sport though. I genuinely believe he's out. I think his best bet, he probably should have stayed at Red Bull and fight his corner against Max, because it's not like he doesn't have at the time, he couldn't match Max. He could, because prior to the announcement that he was going to Renault, he was basically going toe-to-toe with Max. And then after the announcement came, he just started to have the weirdest set of reliability issues. You start thinking, okay, this just seems a bit kind of strange, like, what's going on? What's this? Is Christian and Helmut trying to get back at him for saying, you see, you shouldn't leave us, especially going to Renault of all people, whereby we already know Cyril and Christian aren't the best of pals. You know what I mean? So, right. But I don't know. He's made some questionable moves, and I think the biggest one was going to Renault. He probably should have just stayed at Red Bull and fight his corner. And if it doesn't work out, then you move on.
Right.
You know what I mean? Move on.
I agree. I got you, Jessica. I got you. So Jessica, unmute yourself. Good question, Dario.
It's a question about Alpine. Now I hear people talking about Otmar, but I don't think this is his issue. I think it's the guy, Laurent Rossi. That is the big problem, because ever since he came in, Martin, I don't know how to say his last name, I'm going to pronounce it, he was gone, the old team principal. Cyril was gone, and then Alain Prost. Do we think that Laurent Rossi is the issue here? Because I know everybody's blaming Alonso. I don't like Alonso at all. Everybody know here I do not like Alonso. But in this situation, I don't know if I fully blame. I really feel like they're just like, screw Alpine. Let's screw them over and leave them with one driver. So I just want to know what you think about Laurent Rossi.
Well, isn't he the new head of oh God, what's the parent company?
He's the CEO of Alpine.
Of Alpine. So he's hey, look, if he comes in and he wants results, can we blame him? Because Renault has been promising, because let's get something clear. The current power unit regulations we have stem from Renault, because they had actually, during the V8 era from up to 2012, prior to that, they were threatening to leave the sport, because they were saying, V8 engines have become kind of like obsolete, and it's time to move forward to new technology. And they've been promising ever since then that they'd be up front competing for race wins on a regular basis within 2-3 years. We're in 2022, so we're close to a decade, and they still haven't made any progress to come close to the front of the grid. So if Rossi comes in now and he's like, well, you guys have been promising this for so long, what's going on? He's not going to have to get serious and start, because he wants results. You can't, remember, Formula One is a results-based sport, and you can't just be sitting around spending all of that money that they've invested in the team and drivers, and they're not seeing any return on that money. So you can understand that. But Is he really the problem? I mean, is he any different to any other big CEOs who want to see their company progress? You know, is he being too harsh? I wouldn't say he's being too harsh. I think it's reasonable expectations he's asking for, and they need to deliver that. But at the same time, there could indeed be internal politics that's, you know, creating some form of divide within the team. But in that regard, I don't really know. You know, I really don't know how they're going to resolve this, because they've not shown any progress for the last since we've moved over to these set of since 2014. So something has to give, and you know, they were at times threatening that they were even going to leave the sport during this era. When what's that guy's name? What was the CEO of oh God, what's his name? And he had to flee in the country in a suitcase or something like that. And he's in Israel now. I think he's in Israel now. I can't remember his name. You know,
he was the Force India. Oh, I don't remember.
No. The head of what's okay? Is it
Nissan, Carlos Ghosn.
Yes, that's him. Yeah. So they were because even when he was there, you know, there was still doubts as to whether or not they'll continue in the sport, because they weren't seeing any results. And they're not seeing any results. They got a lucky win last year in Hungary, but apart from that, where's the progress? You spent all that money on Ricciardo. You're spending all that money now on Alonso, but what are you getting for it? Where's the progress? Show the progress. So he wants progress, and you can't really blame him for that, because at the end of the day, Renault is one of the biggest. One of the longest serving teams in Formula One. So they have to start produce.
All right, let's get Behave Dave. Go ahead, unmute yourself, Dario. I got you next, but keep your hand up so I can keep that. And then after Dario, we're going to go to the next topic. Behave Dave, you up, unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. So pretty much, I just do not get this move from Fernando Alonso at all. if you literally read the news about Aston Martin, I mean, I went to Silverstone this year and I saw the building. It looked amazing, but the facility is not up and running until the start of 2023. And then they're saying that they're not commissioning the wind tunnel until 2024, midway between 2023 and 2024. So he turned 41 this year. So by the time that wind tunnel is operational, he's going to be roughly around 43. So to me, it just doesn't make sense. He just feels like standard Alonso, burn the house down, move on, and hope that the car's good next year. And cheers, Thanos, the other day for backing me up on a tweet that you posted out, and you backed me up on it as well. So
which one was that?
Someone was on about how Toto made these billions or something like that. And then it was on about Ross Brawn. And all I said was Toto continued the success. And then everyone just started going on a mad one.
I don't know. People's agenda against Toto, I don't get it, because, I mean, the guy's going to go down in history as one of the best team managers of sports I've ever seen. So I don't care how he came in, you know, or whether he's picking up from, you know, the baton from what Ross Brawn started. At the end of the day, he's kept that engine room going for the best part for 8 years. You know what I mean? So, you know, but in regards to Alonso's move to Aston, I think he just wanted to finally drive a car that had a Mercedes power unit in it. That's so I see it, because if you look at him, he has driven a Ferrari power unit, a Honda, a Renault, Alpine Renault, and now he's gone onto a Mercedes power unit. So he's driven all 4 power units on the grid, because that's the only thing I can see. Because again, where's Aston going? Aston Martin, I mean, since they were dubbed the pink Mercedes. In 2020 and 2021, right? You know, they've not really gone in there. They've just gone backwards. They signed Seb. That experiment hasn't worked. Why you think it's going to be any different with Alonso? A guy who has a history of creating turmoil wherever he goes. Brilliant driver, but the guy's a pariah. You know what I mean? He's not someone where he comes in, he creates an environment whereby everyone feels, you know, together. It's his approach has always been about me. I'm supposed to be your main focus. I'm supposed to be this. I'm the alpha dog, because if it's the same thing. Look at Sunday's race with him at the start with Ocon, how furious he was that Ocon actually defended against him. Like, dude, what do you expect him to do? Just, it's like he wanted him to be like Perez. Once, when Max turns up behind Perez, Perez just moves out the way like, okay, boss, I'll let you through. That's what he wants. But it doesn't make any sense for him. The only thing I can look at, in Aston's favor is that they have another big name that they can use to market their products. That's about it. But in terms of saying you want to progress up the grid,
right?
Again, you look at Alonso's history of the teams he's been to since he has left Ferrari at the end of 2014. They've not really gone anywhere. You know what I mean? The guy, so why would you go after him? Again, think long term. Right. Because one, the power units are frozen until the end of 2025. So the new one's coming in 2026. The current set of regulations, basically, they're going to be in place until the end of 2025. They're not going to change, well, except for next year when these proposed floor changes are going to come in. So why you want to bring Alonso in? Bring a young guy in that you can build with Lance. Okay, it's not like Lance Stroll is inexperienced. He's been around the block. He's been here before. He has, as much as people tend to pile on Lance. You have to remember, Lance Stroll has a pole and he has a podium, right? You notice when Seb retired, everyone was like Hulkenberg, and I'm keep thinking, why people keep mentioning this guy when he's been in when he was in Formula One, the guy's never stood on the podium, but every one of his teammates that he has driven with has had a podium. Why are you going there? So you want to bring someone in with Lance. Find a young hotshot who, out there, and you can say, okay, let's go. Let's build something together for 20. So by the time we get to 2026, we have a settled organization, we have a settled structure and everything, and they can, get moving. But bringing in Alonso, it's like, it's going to be what, 2 years? And then what? 2 years. It's a waste of time. Bring someone else in play, man, and build around it. But that's the Martin move. Doesn't make any sense in no way, no shape or form, because you're going to pay him all again. You're going to pay him all this money. You're telling me there's no one else out there that you could have gone for and gotten? No one. You have Nick de Vries, Stoffel Van Dorn. You have so many other young drivers out there that you could have. If you wanna, you can go IndyCar again. Go over there and look at, go back for Alexander Rossi in IndyCar. Bring him back into Formula One. Something. But Alonso is like, why are people keep attracted to this guy when he hasn't really done anything for the best part of a decade? Right. Well, he hasn't really done anything since the first corner in Australia 2007, because that's pretty much when his career basically died. You know what I mean? That's when his career died. So,
all right. So we go, Dario, you're going to be the last one before we move on to the next topic. So Dario, unmute yourself.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Got you.
We can.
All right. So my other question to you is, I see nobody talk about Pierre Gasly. Now, he's not the favorite in Formula One. I get it, but do you see him going back to Red Bull, or do you see him? He has more of a potential to go back to Alpine since he's considered French, and the French like to stick with their French. Yeah.
Hey, before you answer that, Thanos, I want you to include something else to that because you spoke to it. about you feeling like I think you said Lando may have signed his deal too early. Once you get done,
definitely.
piggyback that off that. Good question, Dario.
All right. Gasly to Red Bull, it'd be a dumb move for him. Don't go back there. Not whilst Max is at Red Bull. You know what I mean? If from Max is at Red Bull, don't go there because you're never going to be given equal opportunity to succeed with him. They're going to screw. They're going to let you know. Sorry, mate. This is Max's team. So why would you want to go back in an environment where your chances of competing on an equal and level playing field doesn't exist? And especially after what they did to him, what they did to 1 year or half a season, I can't even remember. He did with them. So why would you want to go back there? With respect to going to Alpine, again, that wouldn't be such a bad move for him because again, he's going. It's a factory team he's going back to, and the likelihood, they could leapfrog the likes of AlphaTauri, which his own AlphaTauri, which they're basically their competitors at this present moment. Well, Alpine's actually performing better than AlphaTauri if you look at the numbers right now. So that wouldn't be a bad shout for him. But me personally, the whole hype around Gasly, I don't get it. I don't get it because I just think he's just Gasly. There's nothing special about him that would have me pulling up trees and like, my Gasly's the. No, I hear all this talk about Gasly. Nah, that's not going to happen. I think he's an average. He's average at best. He's just.
Right.
You have some guys when you put in a midfield car, they look good. But then when you put them in a front runner, they end up look like, oh shit, you're actually rubbish. You're not that good, dude. Because you realize, because people don't realize the pressure at driving at the front is a different pressure to driving at the back of the grid. Because when you're at the front, the world sees you. The world is sees. When you're in the middle or the back, people barely, look that far down the grid. Everybody's focusing at the front of the grid. So when you get to that top level, and that pressure comes in, and especially when you're going up, because when you get to the front, now you're competing against alpha dogs. You know what I mean? You're competing against the actual best of the best and these guys at the front are ruthless. You're going to realize how ruthless these guys are and just how good these guys are. Because if you remember in our first show, I said to you, the difference between the good and the great isn't this, it's this. And people don't, it's a small percentage. And people don't, and when I tell people that, they're like, no. I'm like, look, that small percentage, that 1%, that 2%, the greats can find that on a consistent basis. If you look at like Bottas, right? Hold on, let me turn on light. If you look at, oh God. If you look at like Bottas, right? People pile on Bottas and say Bottas is crap. But on the occasion, you see Bottas find that 2%, and he looks like, this dude looks like he has it. But how often can he do it? That's the problem. He cannot sustain that over a 20-race season. And that's what the good and the great is. So when people talk about Gasly, I say Gasly is just another midfield driver who just collect your check. Just stay where you are. Just collect your check. If you pick up the odd points here and there and put them, just be happy. And as you talk about Lando, I said Lando is an idiot. And I continue to say Lando is an idiot for signing that contract at McLaren. Because was it last year, May, I predicted this. I was on the Quick Stop podcast and I said to Nia, they were talking about, and I said, look, I said the future lineup at Mercedes to be in George Russell and Lando Norris. And they were like, what? And I said, trust. And I said, when? Because I don't expect Lewis to be around for much longer. I think next year could be Lewis's last year in Formula One, right?
I give him two.
Well, he could stay until 2024, end of 2024. But I think next year might be his last year in Formula. What Lando should have done, right, is sit and wait to see what Lewis does. Because that's the prize seat you want. That's the seat you want. You don't want any other seat in Formula One right now other than that Lewis seat. That's what you want. He should have just sat. Let's see how the market plays. because there was no rush for him to sign a contract. It's not
Right.
like Zach Brown
McLaren
is
was
going
going
to
to
say,
shift him out
yeah,
the door.
they're going to say, well, if you don't sign the contract, we're going to get someone else. No, because I think he was still on the contract. I think he extended. I think his contract ends the next year.
2020. I think it's 2024. I think it's 2024.
No, the extension.
The extension. Okay, yeah, the extension.
The extension. But I think his original contract either ended this season or because he signed the extension when this year, I think.
Yes.
So I think his original contract would have ended next year, which was the same time that Lewis's contract expires. So all he had to do was just say, no, I'm not in a rush to sign a contract yet. Let me see how the market plays out. Let me see how McLaren, because again, it's a new set of regulations. Let me see how McLaren turns up with this set of regulations. Let me see if they give me a good car or a bag of bolts. You know what I mean? Play the field, see what's out there. And then once you have all that information, you can then turn around and say, all right, then Cole, yeah, I'm going to stick with you. Or, nah, sorry, I hear Lewis is retiring. Yo, Toto.
What's
as
up?
soon as the news, because when Lewis retires, it's going to be probably the biggest story in sports. It's going to be on every single news, be it sports station, normal news, it's going to be everywhere. And as soon as you hear that, you be on the phone to Toto, like, yo, Toto, what you saying? You know, yo, I'm free and I don't have a contract and I can whatnot. Put yourself put your name on the board. He took himself off the board now. Because if Lewis retires, Mercedes are going to have to look like, okay, who are we going to get in? People are talking about, oh, the contracts in Formula aren't worth not the paper they're written on. Cool, that's cool. But do you think Mercedes are going to buy Lando of a contract, say? Because if he signs, 3-year, 25 mil over per year, so that's 75 million. And if that contract hasn't started, McLaren can say, yo, if you're going to buy us out of the contract, you're going to have to buy us the full value of the contract. So if the contract was worth 70 million, do you think Mercedes is going to pay 70 million and then sign him to another long-term deal? So that is going to cost them 70 million plus whatever his salary is going to be for the next, say if it's another 2 years. So it's going to cost them 120 million.
Right.
Mercedes won't pay 120 million to get Lando out of a contract. You're going to pay, no. Why would I pay 120 million to get Lando out of a contract? Well, we didn't pay anything to get Lewis out of his contract with McLaren.
Right.
Because you see what Mercedes did in 2012, 2013. They realized, they saw Lewis was in negotiations, right? And they made a play for him. That's what Lando should have done. Sat by, see what happens. If Lewis says, okay, I'm going to renew my contract, all right, then cool. Zach, give me the pen, sign the contract. But the moment, if Lewis says, look, I'm not coming back, okay, now I'm in play. Because who else is out there? Who else would they go for? Obviously, it's going to be him. You know what I mean? He's going to be first choice. It's not going to be Gasly. It's not going to be Ocon. It's not going to be Ocon. It's not going to be Albon. It's no one at Ferrari. It's not going to be Sainz or Charles, and it's nobody from Red Bull. So who is the next best option? It's going to be Lando. He's next in line, and he has now basically taken himself off the board, where now he's just going to have to sit around and watch. And that's why he's pissed with George. If you listen when he talks about George, now he's talking about, since George went to Mercedes, he's no longer doing. And George is like, yo, I ain't got time for that shit no more, dude. I'm at Mercedes. I ain't got time for all of this, running around kids' game. No, I'm serious now. It's business, because where I am, I'm at the front of the grid. I want to win. So me and Nyasha had this conversation on one of my spaces, and I was like saying to him, dude, he's talking about Lando securing the bag. And I'm like, all right, look at it this way. If the contract is 20 million per season with McLaren, the extension, so that's 60 mil over 3 years, right? Whatever money if he went to Mercedes for a less amount, for even 5 mil less, right? Whatever money he's going to lose, he'll reap that money back on his next contract if he goes in and he performs. See what I mean? So he can go in, if he performs, when he was getting 15, he could go in and say, yo, I want 25. And that extra 5 he's recouping what he lost on the first contract. You know what I mean? But are you looking at the money, or are you looking at the possibility of winning championships? Because remember, winning championships, money comes with winning championships. You win
that
championships.
That off the track money.
Not even that. Contract money as well.
Right,
if you
but
win
I'm talking about all the endorsements.
Exactly. So if you win championships with teams and you go in the negotiating room at the end and like, yo, I want a chip with you, What are you talking about? You can't be telling me you're going to pay me 15 million. Say, now I want 25. Let's talk numbers. I can see the numbers. 25. Take it or leave it. And they're going to want to take it because at the end of the day, you won them something. So they want to reward you for that. So why would you put money over the opportunity? Because it's not like he's going to Alpine, for Christ's sake. You're going to Mercedes. These guys just won 16 championships in a row. Why would you not want to put yourself in that seat, the opportunity? Because you never know. You could be the next guy that wins 4 championships. Now George is in that position.
Right.
And I'm sure they would have gone again with another all British lineup. Why wouldn't they? And you're looking at the age as well. They're the right age. They'll rival the likes of Max, Sainz, and Charles because they're all in the same age bracket. So the longevity in terms of career is there for them as well. The guy played himself, and I'll continue to say what he did was a dumb move. You should have played the market, see what's out there, see what look. Because again, I keep saying it. Lewis Lewis controls the driver market, right? Because if Lewis says I'm going, alarm bells goes off. Everybody wants that Mercedes seat. No, Lando can't say, "Oh, I want that seat." Now, dude, you just signed 3-year extension with McLaren. Mercedes aren't going to pay 75 million to get you out of that contract. You're screwed. Deal with that. End of story. Joke.
Damn. All right. Well, there we go for the driver market and some people's feelings being hurt and some people being sore about other people being where they want to be. That always happens in life. So let's move on to the Scarlet Red failures. Yo, Thanos, man, what's going on around here, man? What's up with these talking while people in the middle of battles, pulling people off good medium tires when they got the fastest lap? Yo, people wrecking Ferrari. Man, what's going on with Ferrari, man? I know you got a long time history of knowing Ferrari from then to now. I've heard some people say like there's no big difference from Ferrari fumbling back then and them fumbling now. Some people even say that Ferrari is like they don't acknowledge the fact that when they make mistakes, it's just we ain't making mistakes. Speak to us about what's going on with Ferrari right now, man. It ain't their fault. It ain't Bonotto's fault. It can't be.
Look, I keep telling people, I don't know why people don't listen to me. Now, I'm not going to steer you wrong, people. Listen to me. Ferrari, when it comes to Ferrari, don't be surprised that Ferrari fucks up, because my motto when it comes to Ferrari is Ferrari will always do Ferrari. And that means they'll always find some way of messing something up. And that's exactly what they're doing this year. They're literally, dude, do you know how pissed off I am at this whole situation? I don't like Ferrari. I don't like Red Bull. And the only reason I was kind of like hoping they'd do something is because I hate Max and Red Bull more. And I don't want to see them win. Max has an 80-point lead in the championship. Jeez, it's done. The championship is over. He has won. There's nothing anyone can do to stop it. And that pisses me off because I don't think he deserves it. And that's why him and Helmut and Christian all keep saying, "Oh, we like the fight with Ferrari. We enjoy the fight with Ferrari because there's no animosity." Max saying, "Oh, me and Charles were the same age and we like the same." No, it's because you realize these guys are weak. They're weaklings. Max knows he can just sit back and just chill. He just knows at some point Ferrari is going to do something that hands him an opportunity or hands him a race win. We saw it today's Wednesday? Just 3 days ago, we saw what they did. Come on, man. Yo, it's frustrating. And you know what it is? Since the Mafia left that team, when I say the Mafia, you know who the Mafia is? The Mafia, the three-headed Mafia.
Oh, you talking, Ron,
Todd, and Michael.
Right.
From them 3 men left,
yeah.
That team just been going backward. It's like they don't have a clue. And I said it, and I said it in one of my space recently. There's no spine. There's no winning spine during the running through that team.
Oof.
There's no winning culture post Michael Schumacher, Braun, and Todd. Everything is just what did I say? There's too many talents in that goddamn team. They need diversity, not in terms of people, not in terms of, race, ethnicity, and gender. One, in terms of nationality. They need some diversity within that team because they're not gonna. Man, it's so friggin' frustrating. But it's not. But you know what? At the same time, it's not surprising because if you look at Ferrari's history, they've always gone periods in their history where they've not won a championship for best part of a decade. I think this is the third longest period in their history because I think the prior to second longest was when, if I'm not mistaken, who won the champ? Oh God, was it who won 79? Was it Lauda that won? I think the last championship Ferrari won in 79. Let me just check my stats and just tell you.
All right, so we got 61, 64, 75, 76, 77, 79. Yes. Then a couple of years to 82, yes. 83. Then they went from 83, didn't hit shit till 99.
Exactly. Yes, that's what I mean. So they didn't win. So you see how long they've gone in periods of when they've gone periods without winning. They've gone periods. You know what I mean? They've gone decades. So they're in the longest winless periods of a championship, and I don't see them winning any goddamn thing. And it's gonna it's going to get worse next year because if Mercedes gets that next year W14 to work, Mercedes has the best driver lineup on the grid. They've got the best lineup. So Ferrari's chances now have gone from a 1 in 2 to a 1 in 3. Early at 0. Maybe we're going to go with 0. There is no chance. I'm not backing them to win nothing because they're going to fuck up. Look at 17 and 18. They should have won a championship one of those years. But what happened? They had a driver who messed up in Vettel in 17. Yeah. And in 18, they developed the car, went backwards after the summer break with development. They just went backwards.
Bro. Then the in last 2019, 2008.
Yeah. And they were lucky they won in 2008. And let's be honest, they should have won the double in 2008 because any team that builds a car that allows Massa to be a championship contender has built the best car in that season. You know what I mean? I've always said the greatest Ferrari ever built. I think that was the F2008, the one that Massa drove. That's the greatest Ferrari ever built because Jesus, Massa nearly won a championship driving that. And Massa ain't shit. Let's be honest. Massa is not that guy. He ain't shit. And he nearly won a champion. It's similar to, 99 with Eddie Irvine. Eddie Irvine nearly won the championship. And we all know Eddie Irvine is basically a bum. Eddie Irvine was never really a serious Formula One driver. That guy was drunk like every other weekend. All he did was just drink, got drunk, and just bang women on left, right, and center. Just playboy lifestyle. That was it. So Ferrari right now, in their current guys, I can't see them winning anything. And this is the problem I have. They have the driver to win a championship.
Right.
Because I think Charles, I've maintained, if I have a choice between picking a driver to start my franchise with, I'm picking Charles over Max every day of the week. No question. I'm not even hesitating. Charles. I'm taking Charles because Charles has the raw speed. He has the talent. Yes, he's a bit error prone at time, but I think once he irons out those creases and you give him the machinery to do the job, and it's a reliable machinery with a reliable team, he's going to spank everybody because I think he's that, not Lewis good, but he's that good. Him and Max are definitely on the same level. I give it to him an edge of a little bit because on pure pace, he's frightening. And I think if Lewis is to break his record this year for pole, right, Charles is the one who stands in his way to a YC because over a lap, that boy is frighteningly quick. But Ferrari as a team, it's a joke. This year they have the car and they have the driver, but for some reason they think, okay, how can we mess this up? It's like it's harder for them to win than it is for them to mess up the championship. And that's exactly what they've done. Binotto came up before Hungary and said, oh, we can still win the remaining 10 races of the season. I'm like, what is this, Def Comedy Jam or something like that? what are you talking? Win what 10 races? With which team? You lot? Man, I have a better chance of beating Bolt on the 100 meters, and it take me 2 days to run 100 meters. And look, man.
So we're gonna go to questions. We're gonna go from top to bottom right now. I see Jessica. Go ahead, unmute yourself, and then I'm gonna come to Behave Dave, then Dario.
There's so many things I can say about Ferrari.
Say them. We don't care. Say them.
Oh my gosh, where do I start with my questions with Ferrari? Some things just look too planned for me. See, I look at things way deep. When we had our little members call after the past race, I said something to them. I said, something don't make sense. Because the way they made their strategy call on Sunday was like, it don't make no sense. There's absolutely no way that y'all made this decision as you just watched all these other teams drop like stones to the back. So why do you think they really chose the hard? My opinion, something just doesn't make sense because they've been real buddy with Red Bull lately. My theory is they're trying to help Red Bull get a quote unquote legitimate championship to overwrite last year. It's not really going to be legitimate to me because the floors ain't legal.
Exactly.
But that's
so they failed.
So that's just my theory. But why do you think they really made that decision? Because it doesn't make sense.
Jessica, okay. When I started the Ferrari thing, what did I say? What was the first thing I said about Ferrari?
They will find a way to screw it up.
Thank you. There you go. That's your answer to you just answered your own question. It's Ferrari. They're going to find some way of screwing up because watching the race, the first person who went on the hard tires was Kevin Magnussen.
Yeah.
And that shit didn't work. Kevin Magnussen was stuck in P8.
Actually,
behind Latifi.
No, actually, didn't Max go out on formation lap on hards and it came back?
No. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Post race, we heard that they were going to start on the hard tires,
right?
And they said, "Look, this ain't working. We're not getting any temps in the tires, so they switched to the soft." But during the race, the first person I think went on the hard tires was K-Mag.
Kevin.
And K-Mag basically was stuck in P18 for God he knows how long. And you're telling me you saw that and didn't think, "Oh shit, yeah, let's stay away from that tire because that's not gonna work." You're talking. Right. It's the hardest compound. It's the ambient temperature. The ambient temperature was like 20 degrees. On Friday, it was close to 35, 36. And then it didn't work. Because I think I watched the Mercedes debrief where they said they ran the hard tires on the Friday and it didn't work. It didn't have any grip. It didn't work. So why would you as Ferrari think, oh, you know what? Let's run the hard tire. It's like a matter of, it's like, okay, we have hard, medium, and soft. And they go, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a puppy by his toe. And they went, screw that. We're going to pick the hard tire and just go with the hard tire. And then, because there was a point in the race where you saw Binotto get up and he was walking off. I was like, yeah, I think that's why he chose the hard tire. He wanted to get to leave early so he can catch his flight.
Right. Catch his flight.
His holiday, so he can go on holiday. He didn't want to stay back and do all of the shenanigans of post-race celebration and listening to the national anthem because you cannot, for the love of God, explain that strategy. It made no sense. Lewis ran 32 laps on his set of medium tires. Charles could have ran the same amount of that, same distance. Found himself in a situation where he could have chased down Max for the win.
Right, bro, and it was crazy because on the mediums, he had the fastest lap. They were only 19 laps in. And he had faster sector times. It was crazy for them to pull him in on medium. Like I said, they got pit stop punked. Like, what is going on here?
Look,
that was crazy.
I was at the Quick Stop Live thing watching the race, and I'm like, Ferrari's gonna fuck up this race. I just knew it. I just said it. Look, you're gonna fuck up this race. And so said, so done. You cannot rely. They're not a serious team. You can't. How can you be a team who wants to win a championship or making rookie mistakes like this? Right. You know what I mean? You're Ferrari, for God's sakes. You've been around since 1950. You were at the very first Formula One race. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, the very first Formula One race was at Aintree in the UK, 1950. That's the very first. You've been around for that long. Are you still a make? They should have won. I mean, they should have won that race. Sorry, they should have won that race easily.
Behave Dave, go ahead, unmute yourself. You got your question. Go ahead, bro.
Yo. So, Ferrari, I mean, they're just frustrating. You ever watch that film, Rush? And Lauda's literally just pulled up in the Ferrari and he just goes, it's shit. And then the bloke goes, right. It's a Ferrari. And you're like, no, it's shit. Yeah. That picture on that Ferrari engineer's face is just Bonotto all over. He's just like, no, there's nothing wrong here. But anyway, getting on to my question is Ferrari are just getting bullied by Red Bull.
They're not. No, they're not. They're not getting. Come on. No, they're not. Red Bull
doesn't start shit.
Red Bull aren't. Why would you? What has Red Bull done for you to say they're bullying them? Red Bull haven't done anything.
Not in a sense of the strategy. They're always ultra aggressive, and Ferrari always seem to react too late to them. Most of these races with the strategy.
But I mean, even the Red Bulls. I mean, people are hyping up Red Bull's strategy on Sunday, and I'm like, what exactly did they do?
It was absolutely shit. I'm not saying the strategy was good. I'm just saying
it was the most obvious. But it was the most obvious strategy they had because Max only overtook 4 people.
Yeah,
he overtook 4 people. He overtook Alonso, Ocon, Perez, and Lando Norris, and he overtook. Yeah, and he overtook Charles, basically. Again, by that time, Charles was on the hard tires. So
that wasn't an overtime.
He was basically that wasn't hard work. That was light work. So Max strategy, because the moment I was watching the race and I said, look, Red Bull's going to undercut Lewis. Because Max, I don't think Max was going to pass him on track. So they had to undercut him. Right? Yeah. And once they did that undercut and he got himself into clear air where he could run at his own pace, it was pretty much game over. It was curtains. Yeah. Because by the time Red Bull and everyone reacted to that, his pace was so great that he had already brought himself back into the lead of the race. From basically when he was I think when he was like P5, he was pretty much effectively leading the race.
Yeah.
Because of how it played out for him. So he's trying to. So they're not bullying Ferrari. Ferrari bullying themselves. Ferrari. This is Ferrari. You ever play that? You remember when you were a kid? They used to like get in trouble. Your friends, they used to hold their hand and you'd be like punch yourself in your face. You got me in. This is Ferrari. Ferrari just hold their own hands and go every single race weekend and just give themselves a black eye. Why? For no apparent reason. Because you know what? It feels fun to just punch ourselves in our face. That's what Ferrari feels.
Do you think they just were looking at Max too much in the race, though, when it did come to the strategy? Because that's all it seemed like.
But they have to look at Max because he's their threat.
I got you, Dario, next, and Jessica last.
Yeah, they have to look at Max because he's the threat. He's the championship leader. He's the one they're trying to get beat to the championship. So obviously you're going to have to focus on him. But at the same time you're focusing on him, you also have to make sensible decisions. You can't just be looking at him and then we see Max. Oh, you know what? Let's just help him by doing something stupid. Let's make his life that much easier by doing something stupid. And Max and to be honest, had that VSC not come out and it started to rain a little bit harder, he was going to lose that race. I guarantee you, because the tires he was on wasn't 100%. The tires for those conditions. If you remember in Germany 2018, one of the reasons why Vettel crashed, why Lewis was better off, because he was on the softer compound. And in a situation like that where it's raining, but it's not raining heavily, you want to be on the softest possible compound. And if you look at Lewis's lap time, had that race, the rain come at more steady pace, and there had been more like even 5 more laps, he'd have caught and passed Max easily. But to go back to your question, Dave, Red Bull aren't bullying Ferrari. Ferrari just decided they just want to just come out here and just like, yeah, we Scudera Ferrari. You know, let's just vibes. Even if we don't win, we're still going to get 100 million off the top before they even give us our prize money.
Damn.
It goes
All
with
right.
Ferrari. Sure.
Dario, go ahead, unmute yourself. Good battle right there, Dave. Go ahead, unmute yourself, Dario. You up? Then I got Jessica next. Dario. Hello? All right. We're going to come back to Dario. He got a problem. Jessica, go ahead, unmute yourself.
So a question about Ferrari and Red Bull. So I've seen like a shift from beginning of the season to now where it used to be F1 propping up Red Bull versus Ferrari, Red Bull versus Ferrari. Now it seems like it's Ferrari, you suck. You're not doing what you need to do to make the show better. So now we're going to go right back to Red Bull versus Mercedes. Do you see that happening? Because they know F1, FIA, the fans, everybody know Ferrari is going to screw it up, like you said. Yeah. They are not doing what they were supposed to do. Do you see that happening with F1 as well?
Well, I've not really seen where they've kind of like they're trying to prop Mercedes back up as being someone who's going to challenge Red Bull. You know, Mercedes have just been there in the background, just plugging away. So the narrative has moved away from Ferrari, Red Bull to just Red Bull. That's how it's moved away because they've now got an easy walk to a double. They have no one to challenge them, and it sucks. And this, you know, because Max, people talk about Max being like, you know, he's driving better this year. He's not doing this. And I'm like, yeah, he's that way because he's not under pressure. Mm-hmm. He's not under. We saw what he's like under pressure last year. He cracked under pressure last year, and that's what he does have this year. And if Mercedes, if that W13 was just a little bit better, don't need to be significantly better in it. If it was even, because what is it currently like? They're currently about half a second a lap slow. And if it was like what Toto said, we just need to get the car. If it was like even a 10th per lap slower than the Red Bull, oh, he'd be pissing himself right now, because he's not just going to be competing against, you know, Charles and Lewis. George is going to be in the four because Perez ain't shit. Let's be real. Perez ain't shit. Perez is another Mark Webber. He's just a journeyman who's now in a right team, just getting some limelight. But he ain't shit. Perez is a bum. Plain and simple. I've said it. I've always wondered why people like, you know, so fascinated, so enormed. Is that the word?
I think Perez is totally bum.
Yeah, like, Perez is a bum, man. Perez is a bum. Perez is a bum, man. I've never rated Perez as anything special other than just Perez, bland like vanilla ice cream. Nothing about it. And worse, since he got caught cheating on his wife, he's just fell down. He's just like fell off a cliff in terms of his performance. I mean, even now, when Helmut starts saying, "Look, something ain't right, dude. Why are you almost a second slower than your teammate?" You know something is up. But I'm pissed. Oh God, man. Do you know how hard it is to sit and watch that smug, meerkat looking dude on the podium each race weekend, picking up wins and, you know, talking slit like he's, dude, man. Oh God, I'm pissed. I'm pissed, man. You have no idea how pissed I am. I'm pissed at Ferrari, and I'm pissed at Mercedes as well, because I wanted them to give Lewis something this year that he comes out and like, because don't get it twisted. Even at Lewis is 35, man. Still, Lewis is still that dude.
37.
37. Huh? Yeah, we got the same. We got the same birthday. 37? Yeah, we got 37. The same birthday. He's 37.
Oh yeah, shit. Yeah, he was 1985. Yeah, 37. Yeah. He's still that dude, and that's why I'm pissed, because I wanted him to come back this year, and I wanted to see Max earn something for a change. Massey's not there anymore.
Right.
But Ferrari thought, oh, okay, let's just do Massey's duty for him and just give Max a championship, because that's exactly what they're doing. And I'm pissed. I'm pissed. I wanted him.
This guy.
That's why I'm praying, dude. I'm praying next year the W14 is something special.
Right.
It's I want it to be W11 like 2.0. That's what I want. So we can say, all right, Max, we're back in the game. Because last year we're talking all greasily about, you enjoy the fight with Charles, and because you didn't enjoy the fight with Lewis because you realize Lewis ain't no punk. You know what I mean? And Lewis won't finish a race and then be seen in a club with you dancing on the table. Fuck that shit.
No.
Lewis finishes a race, he jumps on his jet or wherever he is and goes somewhere in the world and gallivant with his peeps, or go horse somewhere, or whatever he does. He has no time for that shit. And that's what Max likes, and that's what he's getting with this year, because it's just, man, you can tell. Yeah, I'm pissed, dude.
Dario, you got the last one for this section, and we're gonna go on and behave, Dave. I'll make sure keep your hand up, and you'll be first in the next topic. Dario, I'll let you come through because we try to come you for. So go ahead and unmute yourself. And behave, David. We can't get Dario in, then I'll let you have that last slot for this topic.
Dario, Wi-Fi playing up, man.
Oh, damn, Dario. Behave, Dave. You got it. Go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Mine's only very quick. It's not really a question.
But you got it.
You saw some pictures the other day, didn't you? And from Brackley itself. Remember in the other podcast we did, I sent you that showed you all them pictures of that potential car. Yeah. So someone close to me again was working, and he had a conversation with Mike Elliott, and just to answer your little question, Thanos, supposedly something groundbreaking is happening on that W14. He said, this is what he said. He's not obviously going to overblow it to him, but he says, we've got something really up our sleeve next year. It was just a quiet little call. My brother's doing some work down there. That's all it is. I'm hoping I can get down there myself over the summer break. I know none of the F1 lot are going to be there, but hey, when do you get the opportunity?
Dave, if Mike Elliott doesn't come out with something groundbreaking that gives them, I'm going to turn up to Brackley and I'm going to ride. I'm going to stop that shit.
I'll be with you.
Look, man. Remember, I've got all the Infinity Stones in them, so they don't want to piss me off. You know what I mean? I'm already pissed off this year. Don't piss me off a second year running. So I want them to. So look. I trust Mercedes. I know they're going to get shit right. That team, they're too good of a team to just not get it right at some point. And we've seen evidence of they're slowly chipping away at this year. The car, I mean, let's be honest. Who thought they'd have gotten a pole after what we saw in Bahrain testing?
Man,
forget even the pole. Who would have thought they've got be on the podium?
For real.
What we saw in Bahrain testing to the point now they've got. I looked at the stats the other day. Do you know Lewis has the same amount of podiums as Charles, Checo, and Carlos? Only Max has more podiums than Lewis.
That's crazy. 4 back to back now.
It's 4.
It's 4 back to back.
Is it 4 or 5?
Is it? I thought it's 4 back to back. No, I'm talking about like back to back to back. We got his first one. What?
No, it's 5 straight podium.
It's 5 back.
It's 5 now.
Straight.
5
yeah,
back
5
to back.
straight. Yeah, because he went
balling.
Where was it? Canada, Silverstone.
Oh,
Australia.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
France.
And then this one. And then
5 straight. So you went 3-3-3-2-2. So the next one, he's moving closer to that top step, So we're getting that win. And I mean, if Lewis is putting out tweets saying, "Yo, that I can feel the win. It's closer." That gives me hope that yes, it's coming. And boy, when that shit comes, I'm gonna be insufferable on this. I didn't give a. We're not winning the championship. But once that win comes, I'm gonna be insufferable on this. You think I'm terrible now? Oh God, wait until all the Ferrari fans and the Red Bull fans are gonna hate me.
Actually, Dave segues us well into this next topic. And Jessica, big shout out to you for that. The extra information you've been factual checking on that. We're gonna move into the Mercedes progress going forward. All right, we're going to summer break. What do you expect to see after the summer break? What would you like to see, and what do you legitimately, like with tapered expectations, expect to see?
All right, I'm not going to get. I tend to be an optimistic person when it comes to Mercedes. Okay, but in this regard, I don't want to buy fool's gold. You know what I mean? Yep, they've had 5 straight podiums in a row. That's nice. that's good. I mean, last weekend was the first one that they earned without any of the top runners having any issues in the race. So that was, earned on pure strategically and pace-wise. So that was earned. So that's a positive. That's something that you can look at. Again, George put it on pole. That's positive because coming from where they were at the start of the season to where they are now,
right?
Very few teams would have made such a recovery, especially given the restraints you have again, it's a budget cap. They're limited on wind tunnel and CFD time as well, even though that reset at the end of, I think it was the 1st of July reset. So they've now got more than Red Bull and Ferrari. So they have to make use of that. And that basically carries over into next season. So what I want to see come Spa, right? I want to see them move a bit closer. I want to see more. I want to see whereby the qualifying gap moves from 7, 8 tenths down to 4 tenths. You know what I mean? That's what I want to see. Because they're making progress. Let's not kid ourselves. They've actually made a substantial amount of progress. Because remember, we went from, okay, are they going to make it a Q1? Okay, they made it. Are they going to make it a Q2? Now they're consistently in Q3, where now you're looking at, I mean, if you look at Austria, they were in the running to get pole in Austria. Yeah, both drivers crashed out.
Right.
Even this weekend, they were in the running to get pole. They had a shot again. If not pole, one of them was going to be on the front row, and so said one of them was on the front row.
Right.
It was more than anything. It was probably Lewis more likely you'd have banked on to get that pole position over George, but George did the shit and he got the pole. Right. So they've made progress. So after the summer break, I want to see that continue. I want to see, because I watched the debrief today and they're talking about, they've got more stuff in the pipeline that they're going to bring and so forth. And I like that talk because again, they're currently behind Red Bull and Ferrari in terms of development because they had to concentrate so much on trying to fix these issues, the porpoising and the bouncing that they've had. I mean, I read an interview with Toto and he's like, they put a floor in the car at Silverstone that they didn't even put in the wind tunnel. It didn't even get tested. They just built something like, yo, put that shit on. We're running it on the track because they weren't getting information from the data and the track wasn't marrying together. So they just went, yeah, put that shit on, run it on the track, and let's see how it works. And it worked. So they're making progress in that regard. But I want to see a little bit more come the winter after summer. You know what I mean? I want to see that straight, especially that straight line speed deficit because that's facts. Bad. But even saying that in France, it looked bad. But then you realize Perez couldn't pass George or Lewis despite having that significant straight line speed advantage. So was it really that? Was it? Did they really? Was that an issue with the driver, or was that Mercedes were just better? They weren't that bad in the straight line as we saw, during practice and in qualifying. Sorry. So I want to see a step forward come Spa. I want to see them closer to the front. Okay. Because the more if they can get themselves into that mix at Spa, then it bodes well for places like probably Monza, because that's where you're gonna test the real test of speed is gonna come in. Speed. You know what I mean? Because Monza is just straight connected by a chicane and 2 turns. That's pretty much what Monza is. So I want to see some progress in that regard, and because right now I'm cool with where they're at. I'm cool because we can definitely see things coming and we can see results. The car looks a whole lot better. I saw Lewis did an interview post. I think it was the Ike interview, the interview with Ike Kovalainen, where he said no. He said at the start of the season he didn't trust the car. He was in a situation where, it's the car was doing. I can't remember what he said 100%, but then he didn't follow it up and say, no, the situation now is he's now in a position where he can get the car to do what he wants rather than the car doing what it wants. So now he's in a more comfortable position where he can focus on setting it up, get it into a position where it works for him. And that tells you, okay, yes, they're making progress. And it's kind of was naive of people to think that these guys weren't going to recover. And if you look at the team, do you think any other team would have made such a recovery, starting from where they started from?
Nah.
I don't think Ferrari. I mean, Ferrari screwed up. Ferrari. It took Ferrari 2 years to get to where they are now after they got caught cheating in 2019. So it bodes well. But I'm looking, so whatever they're doing this year, I hope it translates in all of that data collecting that Lewis was doing early season. I hope it translates into the W14. So come start of first day of winter testing in March, February, March next year. Once they hit the track, that gives Christian Horner nightmares. That's what I want. I want him to go home. Yeah, I want him to go home and it's like when he looks at his wife, all he sees is Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes. Every time he sees Jerry's like all he sees is Lewis. Everywhere he goes, I just want him to see Lewis and Mercedes.
I want him to fantasize about that like he was fantasizing.
No, not fantasize. I want him to have nightmares. I want him to scare him. I don't want him to fantasize. I want him to scare him.
Thanos trying to have this man out here.
Yeah, I wanted to do. You remember what Nico Rosberg said? Nico Rosberg said in 2016 he found himself in a position where he even scared his kids. That's what I want next year when Mercedes then that W14 touches the track. It's a beast that scares the living daylights out of everybody, especially Max and Christian, because this year they're getting a walkover this year. It's a free ride, and we don't want them to have no more free rides.
Right. No. All right, we got a question, Dario. We coming to you again, bro. We gonna try. I'm not giving up on you, man. Unmute yourself.
And he works.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, thank God.
God damn it.
All right, my bad. I was driving. My bad. I was driving. I'm driving. So, my question for you is from the previous about Ferrari. If that's cool with you guys.
Yeah,
go ahead, bro. Thanos is good enough to go back there and then come on back up. Go ahead.
All right. So, what I was trying to ask you guys earlier, Thanos, is this: Do you think by some miracle chance that Bottas might end up in the second seat, replacing Carlos Sainz, I should say?
That's cool.
Ferrari.
Yes, in Ferrari.
Nah, no chance. Never going to happen. Sainz, you remember Sainz just signed a contract extension around Imola. He got another 2 years. So, he got another 2 years. So I think he's there till 2025. And I think Charles's contract expires in 2025. Nah, Bottas. Bottas' days of getting a big team drive is pretty much done.
Over.
That was it. His Mercedes stint was it for him. And I mean, he can't be mad at that stint. You know what I mean? I was looking at the numbers the other day, and he has 10 wins. That he's ranked 35th on the all-time wins list. 35th with 10 wins. So he cannot be that mad. But going to Ferrari, nah, no chance. No chance in hell.
Probably Aston.
I'm
saying.
No, but you know what? You know what? You just mentioned Aston, right? Why didn't they go after Mick Schumacher? Jeez.
Right.
Instead of Alonso. Why didn't he go after Mick Schumacher? Go after him instead of Alonso, because right now, Mick, we're kind of segueing away from what we were saying, but Mick,
that's fine.
I've always said Mick Schumacher is going to end up in a Ferrari because, you know what I mean? That agree. Come on, dude. I mean, you see the moment when his mom went to a doctor and the doctor said, "Oh, you're pregnant and it's a boy." That Ferrari contract was signed. He wasn't even like 3 months developed yet. As the doctor said, it's a boy. You automatically hear that Ferrari contract signed. So he was destined to get a Ferrari drive. But how long is he going to sit around at Haas and wait for? Are you going to sit in Haas for another 2 years and just be a Haas? Try and move out of that team, because let's be honest, Haas ain't going nowhere. Haas is just going to be right where they are, battling for the minor places. Occasionally, they put in some performance in qualifying, and then in the race, they just drop down the grid like a stone. So why didn't someone go after him? Again, it's another young driver. Build with that. But instead, you're going after some 40-year-old snake. Like, come on, man.
All right, we got Behave Dave. You up? Go ahead, unmute yourself.
Where is he?
Yo.
Yeah, go
There
on.
you go.
Just a quick one on that one. Do you reckon there could potentially be sabotaging Charles Leclerc to try and get Mick into that seat?
Again, you ask the question, what's the benefit of doing that?
Yeah, true.
You're looking to sabotage your best driver to bring in a guy who basically is getting outperformed by Kevin Magnussen.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean? He looked Mick looked good when he was Mazepin, but now he has a better teammate. You know, he's not looking that great.
Average,
He is at in Austria. He had 2 good races, but he's not pulling up trees. So why would you want to get rid of him? And furthermore, why would you want to sabotage Charles anyway? You're paying Charles the back. You're paying Charles a hell of a lot of money.
True.
And you just signed Carlos to a new 2-year deal. Why would you want to sabotage Charles? Because it's not like Charles is a joke. Charles is the real deal. Charles is proper pedigree. So, no, I don't think that's the case. You know, but then again, it's Ferrari, so anything is possible.
Right.
Just to get back onto the Mercedes question, if that's all right. Do you reckon
go ahead,
Mercedes?
then I go to Jessica.
Do you think Mercedes have got like this major upgrade like they did last year with the third damper, and they're just fine tuning, and that's where they're finding this pace from? Because they have just steadily chipped away.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can't. The suspension this year, they've removed all of those inerters and all of
the
these
inerters
things. So it's kind of like a basic. They've gone back to a basic form of suspension setup. So I think, you know, I spoke to someone who used to work at the team. This was months ago, and you know, he's saying that the likelihood. What he said to me at the time was that he thinks when he spoke to people within the team, they're working on, you know, revamping the suspension in terms of geometry and so on, and it's likelihood that most of the work they're doing is around the gearbox area. You know, so they could be coming in with a new gearbox casing, which would then change the geometry of the suspension. And I mean, we've also heard similar rumors about they'll be bringing some upgraded suspension that we've not seen as yet. You know, so I don't know. I guess it's a matter of, you know, them understanding that data gathering that Lewis did is finally making sense, because that's the only way you're going to learn. Because remember, there's no information. They have no information on these set of regulations. It's fresh, so they have nothing they can fall back on and say, okay, this is what happened last year, and this is what we did to fix it. They have nothing. So they're building a brand new database of information. So come next year now, if something happens, they can go back and say, oh, that happened last year. This is what we did to fix it. Easy solve. Right. So that's not, you know, so it's just hard work and just understanding the car, you know, understanding the tires, because it's not just, you know, the car that needs to understand. They also have to understand the tires, because it's a new set of tires. You know, this has a place, because in previous years, you have to remember 13-inch tires, majority of the suspension travel movement was actually through the sidewall of the tires, more so than the suspension itself. And that was dialed into the whole, you know, build. All of those things were factored in. So this year, the sidewall was a bit smaller. It's stiffer. So there's a lot more things that have to
transfer into the suspension. You know,
take into consideration. So I don't think, you know, we could, what they've done, wish they'd tell us, to be honest, because again, the car looks different. It's now starting to look like a Formula One car. The drivers look like, you know, they can trust it. No, they can turn into a corner and not think, oh my God, am I going to crash or not? Is this thing going to stick? They seem more confident. You can tell it. You know, you watch Lewis's onboard or George's onboard, they turn and they just like, it turns. They don't turn and they're like hesitant, like, oh shit, what's going on? They don't seem scared. It's more confident. So, you know, again, it's just hard work. You know, I mean, that's the only way you're going to fix the problem. And given that under these set of regulations and the restrictions, they do, they have to, you know, hold your hand up to them and say, you know what, you guys did a good job coming from where you're coming from in 13 races. Facts. Some people would take a whole entire season and a half to even get to five podiums in a row. You know what I mean?
We got Jessica, you up?
Okay. So I have a comment on Lando. I don't like him. First thing, it kind of goes back to Lando and Mercedes. Do you feel like Lando, I know it's kind of off topic, but do you feel like Lando fights Lewis in particular hard? And if so, why? Because I mentioned this on Sunday, and I think someone says, well, because they're jealous. I'm like, it doesn't make sense. Nothing. I don't like Formula One. I'm on here because of Lewis. So I want your opinion on why do you think Lando fights Lewis harder than everybody else?
Well, I mean, everybody fights Lewis harder than everybody else because it's Lewis. You know what I mean? Who else? Lewis is, no matter what anyone thinks or says, Max might be the NDA champion. What's that? What's they call it? A non-disclosure agreement.
In non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah,
I got that shirt coming out this week.
Yeah, he's the NDA champion.
Right.
At the end of the day, people still know the guy Lewis is still the man. So who you want to prove against? You want to prove against Lewis. So you're gonna fight Lewis tooth and nail because that's where your rep is gonna come from. Not fighting Max. Come on. And you see it. And you see when they race against Max. They literally, Sunday, Jesus. Did you see how Max passed him after Lewis passed him? He just like...
He just said, here you go.
Yeah, he's just like, all right, go on, Max. Go and chase after Lewis. And I'm like, what the hell? It was the same with Alonso and Ocon. These guys just like, yeah, go ahead, Max. Run along. No trouble. We're not going to give you no trouble. So, you know what? And it's a compliment to Lewis, to be honest. If they're going to race him that hard, it's a compliment as to how good he is.
Right.
Because
how good they still regard him in.
Exactly.
Too.
So you're going to want to show out against who you think is the best. Because, you go play basketball and you see a dude there and he's doing all... You want to go and prove yourself against him. You're going after him to I'm going to show you I'm as good as you are, if not better. So that's what they're doing. They're trying to prove to the world, look, I can race Lewis Hamilton hard as, and it's a compliment to Lewis and it's a compliment. And he just has to run with that. So sometimes it pisses me off when they do it because I'm like, it's not even necessary to do it because he's going to pass you eventually. Just, you're not even in the same race as him. You're racing something else. Your race is with Alpine or Alpha Tauri. So why are you fighting a Lewis who's racing against a Ferrari and a Red Bull? Just let him pass because the longer you fight him, the more you mess up your race. So, but it is.
But that's my issue. It's like if you're not even going to fight for something, and then your reasoning is, well, they're not my race. It's like exactly, they're never going to be your race because you're not even fighting for your position. It doesn't matter if you're 2 seconds slower. Do something. To me, I feel like it's just a waste of a drive. You're wasting talent and you're wasting your seat. Get out and let someone else be there. That's how I see it at this point, because it's very frustrating.
I kind of get where you're coming from. But again, like I said, these guys, when they say Lewis when Lewis pulls up in their rearview mirror, they're going to say, okay, that's Lewis. Yeah, I'm going to make it hard as possible for him. So, okay, make it hard as possible. Oh, no problem. You make it tough, it's still gonna get past you anyway. So if you wanna waste your time trying to fight me when you know eventually I'm gonna get past you, then that's on you. So, but it's just frustrating when you don't see them do it with other drivers. That's the thing that really, and I see where you come from, Jessica, because it gives the impression that it's just Lewis they have, like in Jamaica we say you only have strength. Me alone you have strength for, meaning you only
bucking up on
person.
Me.
Yeah, only I'm the only person you can take advantage, say certain things and do certain things with, but you won't do that to someone else. And that's basically what it is. But it is what it is. It's Formula One at the end of the day, and that's what we want to see. I want to see that. And I want to see that. I just want them to do it with everybody. Fight Lewis hard. Fight Lewis hard. I don't mind. Last year, Hungary, Alonso fought Lewis hard. I was a bit pissed, but at the end of the day, it's racing. That's what they're there. That's what Alonso is there to do. He's there to race. And he's going to race him hard. They race hard. They race fair. And I had no problem with that. Lewis decided to, okay, you have the work cut out for you, mate. Get past him and go and win the race. And that's all it is.
Man, we're gonna let Dario, man. Dario, you're gonna have the last one, bro. So go ahead. Hopefully you work, man. I had to pass somebody else. Unmute yourself. See what he does. Goddamn.
Can you hear me?
Boom.
Yeah,
He got in there. He slid
All
on
right.
in there. Go ahead, bro.
All right. So it's not it's not a question, but it's to answer Jessica. And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. The reason why they do that to Lewis, I personally think that it's just to show Toto Wolff I should be in Mercedes-Benz or any other team leader on the pit or any other team. If you see me keep battling Lewis and I have the pedigree to at least keep up or pass him or drive a little better than him, I should be in your team or I should be in the primary seat of that team or whatever team they're trying to impress. So that's how I feel about it. I don't know. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong or.
No. I'll let Jessica come back on that since you directed it to her. I'll let her come back on it, and then we'll give Thanos the back door. Let him go ahead and do his thing. Go ahead, cool. Jessica. What do you say to what Dario says? Basically, it's about an interview piece, like wearing the best suit you can. Like once you get an opportunity and Lewis is in your rear view, to try your best to uphold, because I honestly think it's hate besides that, but Dario spins a nice perspective. It's an interview time. Like, let me see if I can hold the GOAT up. Maybe somebody will hold me in high regards and look at me for their seat at their team. So what do you say to that, Jessica?
I say, I see your perspective, but I 100% disagree. Like you said, I feel like it's hating. I just, like I said, I feel like if you're going to fight Lewis, cool. It is what it is. You're there to race, but you better have that same energy for everybody else. That's why Mick sometimes, but when he gets a chance, he'll fight whoever. Joe does the same exact thing. Who else is on the grid? That's young. Nobody really care about. Those two will fight anybody. That's why I respect them more than Lando. I don't care how long he's been here. I don't care. People with high regard. You're wasting your talent and your drive, and you need to get out if you're going to continue to do this. You're letting your friendship for this person get in the way of you doing your job. That's how I see it.
Okay. But Dario, Thanos, go ahead and sum that up for us, man. Go ahead. What do you think about that?
But Dario, put it this way: if for instance Lando was driving that way so as to show Mercedes that I should be in your seat, I should be in one of your seats, X, Y, Z, etc. It's kind of counterintuitive, don't you think? Given that he just went and signed the extension.
Damn.
So you turned up to an interview. So you're interviewing for a job that you don't want.
It's like going to an interview for a job and say, I already got a job. I just want
exactly. You know what I mean? He didn't want a job because he signed the contract extension. So you did all of that to show Toto, Toto, I should be in one of your seats. But you know what? Let me sign a contract. Let me extend my contract over here, Toto, because I don't really want to see anyway. Like, it's kind of counterintuitive, but like, I don't think it's hit. Personally, I don't think. I just think a driver's instincts, once that helmet goes on and that visor goes down and it's race time, I think they're different. They transform into different beasts. Yes, maybe they race Lewis differently than some other drivers, but again, it's a reputation thing. If you how much did it help Lando's reputation in Austria 2009 last year in Austria? Because remember, him and Lewis went at it for a good couple of laps. When Lewis finally got past him, Lewis said, I think Lewis came on the radio and was like, Lando was driving really well. So he gave him a compliment. So that boost, that, elevated Lando's rep more. So that's what it is. It's a reputation thing. If we can race Lewis like this and hold off the greatest we've ever seen for 5, 6, 10 laps, it's going to only do us, our reputation, a world of good. And that's what it is. So sometimes, I don't like it sometimes because I think, you can, because again, you're not in the racing for the same thing. You could just let him pass and whatnot. But at the same time, they're there to race. So if he races Lewis hard, that's what we want to see from drivers. We want to see them race hard. but we just want to see everybody being raced hard, not just some, and just let the others pass like it's a free for all at the buffet. No.
Got you.
Don't do that.
So Thanos, man, tell everybody, man, I'm always going to give you the floor, man. Tell everybody where they can reach you, what you got going on. If you got anything future coming up, bro, all of that.
Well, you can find me on Twitter. I'm always on Twitter at Thanos, which is the 7, Thanos 876. I'm the one who's always causing trouble, but I should warn you, though, I'm an acquired taste. So I'm going to say things that you probably won't like, the things that you do like, but I'm not going to mince my words. I'm going to say what I have to say, and I just keep it moving. Sometimes I run a Spaces chat after qualifying or on the race on a Saturday and a Sunday, which is quite a good little thing. Get some people in and we just just chat about the day's events and so on. So that's where you can find me mostly on Twitter. In terms of going forward, I don't really have much plan, man. I just free ball it. Just free ball it. If I'm on here, or I'll probably get on Cameron's thing. I was on Cameron's F1 last week. I might be on it next week, Thursday again. So, that's just me. I'm just roaming the streets. All right. Yeah, man.
So hey, Jessica, I see your hand up. I'm gonna let you go before I close this out. Go ahead, unmute yourself.
I just want to say thank you, Thanos, for coming along.
Appreciate it.
One question: how do you feel about George Russell?
Look, I tell people this, and I really don't give a damn. I'm only in Formula to support one driver, and that's Lewis Hamilton. Everybody else are enemies. Even George. George is I view George as an enemy, but if I'm talking in terms of talent, I think he's up there. He has the talent and he has the skill to be a world champion if given the right machinery, because he's applying himself the right way. He's carrying himself the right way. He's performing. Because let's be honest, had it not been for that first lap crash in Silverstone, he would have kept up his record of finishing top 5 in every single race so far this season. The only driver that's done it. You know what I mean? So, we've already seen that, the decision for Mercedes to bring him in has been justified. He put it on pole. Lucky number 13. They said 13 is a bad number, bad luck, but he changed that. He was on pole. So I think in terms of talent, Mercedes has someone for the future. And he's in the right place at the right time because he's learning from the best. And that can only stand him well and do the team well. So I have nothing bad to say against him as a person or anything like that. But as a driver, he's an enemy. He's there to get trampled over, run over, you name it, put in the meat grinder. That's how I see him. He's an enemy when it comes to my driver. But talent-wise, everything else, he has it. He has the full package because the boys, I don't like calling grown men boys. So I refrain from using that terminology, but he's good. He's the second driver after Charles to win F3 and F2 in their rookie season. So that tells you something about him.
Right.
He's special.
Hey, well, there we go. The Wolves Den is official. We will be breaking in more. Of course, you already know we're going to have Thanos back for either Performance Talk or Wolves Den. And Thanos, brother, I really appreciate you coming and sharing your mind. Everybody that showed up, I appreciate the questions. They were good. I appreciate the back and forth. And I also appreciate definitely the respect for our guests as well as each other, because we deal with each other. We don't really deal with these drivers or these teams, but we deal with each other out here in the world, whether it's on Spaces or YouTube. So we should have just a bit more respect when we talk to each other. Sure. So with that being said, Wolves Den is out. Performance Talk is out. Wolfpack is out. Thanos, man, it was great having you, brother. Everybody else, y'all be safe and see y'all next time.
All right, man. Thanks, man.
Thanks for tuning in and watching another video here at Wolfpack Performance. Check out some of my other content on Formula One issues, our topics, and our DIY products on how to customize your vehicle. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. See you soon.